Well, I want to discuss something that's come up here in recent days, and I think I kind of alluded to it in my last video, but I want to go a little bit more into detail. And this is this Tucker Carlson claim that the NSA is spying on him, and as to kind of what I think about this. I think there's something real here, and I think it also relates. The General Flynn case is sort of illustrative of what probably has happened here. So let's go into some little deep detail here. Now, remember to subscribe to my channel and give me a like if you like these videos to help with the algorithm so we can kind of expand our audience. Thanks to recent subscribers again. Okay. Here's what I think has happened. And I think maybe the NSA itself as an organization is being a little bit falsely accused here, because I doubt this was an NSA initiative. What I think happened is that it's more of the political people in the Biden administration that are behind this, perhaps. Now, we'll find out, I guess, as time goes forward, maybe. What probably has happened is the following. Let's consider Tucker Carlson and the people he's been in communication with. Let's start off with Glenn Greenwald. Now, we know him from the Snowden case, right? And Glenn Greenwald was highly involved in helping Snowden get to his exile in Russia, right? So regardless of what we think about Snowden, and I suppose to many of you Snowden is a person standing up for civil rights, and other people have different attitudes, but the point is, for the attitude of the government and the National Security Agency, I mean, this guy is a major security violator. He has disclosed a large amount of classified information, and as such, it merits a legitimate legal investigation as such. And so people that are, helpers of him, such as Glenn Greenwald, are probably under NSA surveillance still from legitimate FISA warrants that were probably issued way back years ago and are probably still being updated. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I can't say it's true because I have no knowledge. I'm simply looking at what's plausible. Okay, another person he was involved with is this doctor from China, this virologist, Dr. Li Meng Yan, okay, who's been interviewed recently. Was made some very important revealing concepts about the idea of coronavirus as being a bioweapon, and I've done a video on this some months back as a possibility. It's looking more and more like I might have been guessing correctly. But the point is, this is a national security interest, and she's a foreign national, so she's probably under observation, if you will. And then, of course, he had his trip down to El Salvador and interviewing with officials in El Salvador. And I'm sure that there's a national security interest involved in the people in El Salvador. Are they opposing the cartels? Are they in league with the cartels, etc.? So they're probably under surveillance. And let's look what happened with General Flynn. I mean, the surveillance that caught up General Flynn wasn't surveillance of General Flynn per se. The Russian ambassador is always under surveillance. Come on, let's be real. And so it's kind of amazing to me that, in fact, a person who had been director of the Defense Intelligence Agency would have walked into that. But obviously, he didn't think anything he was saying was even controversial, I assume. So, and in fact, if he'd been a Democrat for a Democrat administration, it wouldn't have been, which is our two-tier justice system. But the point is, all this leads to why I think that surveillance warrants were out there, or what you want to call them, findings, or whatever the term is, that were monitoring people, and maybe others, that Tucker Carlson or his staff are in communication with. And so his communications naturally got scooped up in that. Now, the next phase is very simple. You're supposed to have a blackout on all the U.S. citizens that are not targets of investigation. In other words, it'll just be person A or person B or person 1 or person 2. I don't know how they do it, but the idea is that what they're saying and who they are, that's not given as a to the typical recipient. But then there's this other thing which was revealed during the Flynn case called unmasking. And my theory is that probably officials in the Biden administration are probably the ones that unmasked Tucker Carlson and got his communications and said, hey, maybe we can use some of this stuff to leak to the press at the right moment and try to damage him or put him off the air. And that's my theory, anyhow, what's actually going on with Tucker Carlson. So anybody claiming that this didn't happen, I think, is probably just kidding themselves. I think Tucker's totally correct in the fact that yes, people are getting a hold of his communications. And I think that's probably the mechanism by which it's doing. I doubt there's actually a FISA warrant on Tucker Carlson, and nor do I think they've gone completely rogue and are at the NSA to actually, go illegal. I think it's more like they're doing their normal legal thing, which does contain the information in a masked, like what you're supposed to wear for Corona, level, and it's being unmasked, I suspect, by political appointees for political purposes. So in a way, the agency is kind of caught in the crosshairs there. They're under the legal authority of the Biden administration. Biden's commander-in-chief, and on the other hand, they're under certain legal restrictions on what they can do, and they always have to worry about what Congress might decide to do if they get too ticked off about this. At the moment, with the Democrats running Congress, probably not much will happen to them, but it does create another controversy, which, is not good for their overall image. Anyhow, I just thought I'd kind of lay this out as kind of my conjecture on what happened with Tucker Carlson and what's probably ongoing with him. As for what he should do, I guess he has to watch what he says in any form of telephone or electronic communications, because the big brother is listening to you, and and probably doesn't have a smile on its face overall. Not only that, but now the NSA probably is not a neutral participant in it. They now are probably a little bit ticked off at him, so that doesn't help any either. And so, at any rate, for him, that is, that doesn't help him to get out of this situation. As in the movie that was out there many years ago, Enemy of the State, I think he kind of maybe has become that for the moment. And I wish him the best. I think he's doing some great shows. I think he's revealing a lot of things, making a lot of good stances on important topics. And so we'll just have to see what happens. I would caution him, though, that he needs to sometimes tone some of his rhetoric down. I mean, I don't think calling the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff a, quote, pig, unquote, was a smart thing to do. Do I think Milley kind of has become a sap for the Biden administration? Yeah, but I think it'd be important to be a little more careful there on what you say about this. I mean, the key thing, I think, on Milley, for instance, is to point out that he was not responsive to the congressman's questions. And I don't think the question wasn't asking him about white rage. And I don't know, since he's white, I don't know if he has rage or not. Maybe he does because of the questions he's getting. But that's just another example of the kind of things. But I wish Tucker the best, because I think it's a not miss show every weekday evening for me when I have the opportunity. But at the same time, I do think that's probably what's going on there. I think he's basically correct on what's happened. I think it's another unmasking case like what happened to General Flynn. Well, at any rate, I'll wrap this up for now. And if you can also follow me on social media which the contacts are listed below, particularly Twitter is my most frequent one. I do post things occasionally on both Parler and Gab, and I do post the videos on all these so that people out there can see them. And that'll be it for this segment.